Hello people, I'm the Comic Book Gamer. Today I'm going to be doing my best comics of the year video. These are my favorite comics of 2018. I like to do one of these pretty much every year where I just recap some of my comics from some of my favorite comics that I read from the past year. So I got a few different categories and I'm just going to be going over what were my favorites. So yeah, spoilers, if you haven't read some of these books, if you hear me mention a book and you're really weary about spoilers, then you might want to avoid that part of the video because I'm not going to be going super in depth with a lot of this, just there might be some spoilers here and there. So there's your warning. Anyways, let's get into it. Starting off with my favorite trade of the year, and that is Batman White Knight. Now, I was very surprised with how good this book was because it just lived up to the hype. This doesn't happen a whole lot for me because I just heard so many great things about the book. I was like, okay, I'm not going to read in issues. I'm going to wait for trade. I'm going to wait, which is really hard for me to do because just the patience to wait for a book to come out and trade is not easy. A lot of times I just end up getting the issues, and generally speaking, most books read better in trade, so I'm glad I waited for this, and I waited, and it finally got here. I pre-ordered it on Amazon. I was waiting. I was like, come on. It got here. I read it, and it blew me away. I went through it like that, too. And it's not a short book either. It's not, like, huge, but it's not a short book either. It's a pretty good-sized book, and I went through it in a matter of just no time at all, and it was so good. It's written, and the art is done by Sean Murphy. This is his baby, and it's an Elseworld story, and he just owns it. It's so good. It's a very different Batman than I've ever seen before. The way Batman is portrayed here is a lot more sort of, I guess, negatively than I've ever seen before. Even in Elseworld stories, Batman's still always like just Batman, but in this he's so much different, actually seen as sort of the bad guy in certain ways and different, but in the end he's sort of redeemed a little bit, and I really love the way him and Joker are done. And there's a lot of also Batman the Animated Series references in here, which if you follow Sean Murphy on Twitter, you know he's a huge fan of Batman the Animated Series, and it really shows in here, especially with all the different Batmobiles. That was cool, seeing all the throwbacks there. Just everything about this book is great. I love the writing, the art. It's just a great story. You can tell that Sean Murphy had just a story he really wanted to tell here, and he got to do it. I'm so thankful that DC allowed him to do this. This is also one of the first, maybe the first Black Label graphic novel. So Black Label is DC's label that is just like, here's some Elseworld stuff. Even though they've already done Elseworld stuff, this is just sort of a new label for it, sort of like Year One was. So this is just like anything Elseworlds, and I believe this was the first one. It's got that that nice Black Label right there. It looks pretty cool. But yeah, just everything about it blew me away. I loved it. I loved the way Harley was done, especially when the Harley comes in and beats the crap out of what is basically New 52 Harley. Pretty much classic Harley comes in and just like stomps into the ground New 52 Harley, and then New 52 Harley kind of like transforms into the villain of the book. And I love the way everything's done, how people team up. My only, like, I guess sort of complaint about it would be I would like to see more Dick Grayson. I feel like we didn't get enough of him in the book, but overall I just absolutely loved it. If you have not read it, it is more than worth your money. Definitely go do it. A sequel's coming out, I believe, in 2019. I know Sean Murphy's always been tweeting about it. The sequel's called Batman Curse of the White Knight, and it's going to heavily involve Azrael, and so I just cannot wait. I'm so happy again that DC allowed him to do this and is giving him his own universe. And if Curse of the White Knight is anything like White Knight, I'm gonna love it. Next up, we have Best Series of the Year. Now this also includes miniseries because I didn't read enough to do a separate miniseries compared to ongoing series. I just didn't read enough miniseries to compare the two because I only read a couple miniseries, so I can't just be like, here's my favorite miniseries of like 3 books I read, and here's my favorite ongoing series of like 12 books I read. It's just not really fair, so I just combined the two. So my favorite overall series, most of you guys, if you've been watching my channel, know this or have been following me on Twitter, it's Old Man Hawkeye. I love the Old Man Hawkeye. It is something that when I first went into it, I was excited for, but also skeptical because like, it looks good. Marco Cicchetto's doing the art, so I know it will look beautiful, but it's got a new writer that this is like his first comic book, and it seems like it's cashing in on the Old Man Logan name, but who knows? Let's give it a try. Read the first issue, loved it. Read every other issue after that, absolutely loved it. It falls off a bit when Kate Bishop gets in. It's still really good, but it falls down from like being amazing to just great, which isn't that much of a fall, but still I would have preferred if she was just in like an issue or two and then it went more on Clint, but it's still great even when she comes in, and just, man, it's so good. My main complaint with the book would be that I wish Marco Cicchetto would have stayed on the art the whole time because his art is so good. Granted, the artists that come on are not bad. They're still good. It's not like Return of Wolverine where you go from Steve McNiven to some like other artists that just are not even close to his level. It's where you go from Marco Cicchetto's amazing art to some other artists that are pretty good. They're just not on the same level. And also, it's a real treat when you get to see Marco Cicchetto, because he doesn't do a whole lot of interiors. He does a lot of covers, and then he'll do some interiors like he did for the Obi-Wan Anakin book. So I really like anytime I can get him on interiors, and because his art's so good. And yeah, just it's a really fun sort of ode to the Old Man Logan book. It's a like cross the wasteland journey like Old Man Logan was, and you get to see how Hawkeye got to the point that he was in Old Man Logan. And they also tease a sequel at the end, and I would be so down for a sequel. Spoilers for the book, at the end he goes to Matt Murdock because Hawkeye is fully blind by the end of the book, and so he goes to Matt Murdock to train him because he's now blind. And obviously, why not go to the best dude that's the best blind fighter? So I'd be so down for a palette book of Daredevil and Hawkeye, and Daredevil teaching Hawkeye how to deal with his blindness, and just seeing him go across the wasteland, deal with the Venoms, and take out the people that killed the Thunderbolts that killed who he loved. Just seeing Hawkeye go across the wasteland on his vengeance against the Thunderbolts, because the setup of the series is the Thunderbolts killed everyone that Hawkeye was a part of, because all the different like heroes in the Marvel Universe went into teams when this whole villain uprising happened during before Old Man Logan, where all the villains decided to team up and kill everyone. The heroes went into different groups and are like, we need to try to deal with this. And they killed everyone, including Black Widow, that Hawkeye was a part of. And part of his group was the Thunderbolts. They turned on him and they're like, we kill you, but we're gonna leave Hawkeye because you're not really a hero, you're more of a joke, so we'll leave you. But that was their biggest mistake, as Hawkeye goes and avenges them and kills all the Thunderbolts. And it's really sick, because it's not like, the beginning of the Old Man Logan series from Jeff Lemire, which I overall loved, but the beginning was a little iffy, where Old Man Logan's like, I'm gonna go kill Hulk and blah, 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 all these other people before all this stuff happens. But it's in canon, so Wolverine's not going to kill anyone. Old Man Logan's not going to kill anyone. He kills like one low, no-name, like tier 3 villain, and then that's it. He doesn't kill anyone else after that. To where in this, it's out of canon, so Hawkeye's actually going to kill the Thunderbolts, and he does, and it's sick, and it's such a good series, and it's something I highly recommend to everyone. Please go check out the series when it comes. I'm not sure when it comes out in trade, but all 12 issues are out right now, and I couldn't recommend it enough. Next up, we have Most Improved Series, which means a series that could be bad or not so great, and then goes to being actually pretty good. And for me, that's Darth Vader. Now, from the beginning, I liked Charles Soule's run. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was as good as the previous run on Darth Vader, which I absolutely loved. But then we hit an issue, I think it's like around like issue 17 or 18, something like that, or like 16, where it's the issue where Darth Vader hunts Tarkin. And that issue on, this series becomes amazing, and you see that Charles Soule really gets inside the mind of Vader and really understands Vader, and it's just a blast from then on out. We get this really good Mustafar story arc, which ends the series. Sadly, it's done now, but hopefully we get more Vader soon, and Charles Soule is definitely going to be doing more Star Wars stuff. He did the Obi-Wan Anakin series I've mentioned before with Marco Cicchetto, which he did pretty good with, and he did great with this Vader series. Again, the first half or so of his run's good, and then after that, it's great. He really captured Vader, and I love seeing how Vader actually like got his castle on Mustafar and why he did, and seeing his relationship with the Emperor, and seeing everything that took place after Revenge of the Sith, where he hunts on the Jedi, and it's just really, really good. I love this series, and if you have not checked it out, definitely do it. Pretty much all the trades are going to be out very soon, so you can collect the whole run. I think it's like 25 or 26 issues. It's not a huge run, but it's really good. I'm happy that they did it. And as much as I would love more, I think it's kind of smart for them to do these Vader runs in short bursts instead of just doing huge like 100 issue runs. I think it's kind of smart to do these little different parts of Vader's life. I really enjoy it, and it makes me love Vader, who's my favorite villain in all of cinema, even more so. Like, they've done such a great job with him. They have not ruined him with this. They've just expanded him and made it even better. Next up, we have my favorite new artist, which means an artist that doesn't mean they started in 2018. It just means I discovered them in 2018. So for 2017, it was George Jimenez, who I still absolutely love, but obviously I discovered him in 2017. So for 2018, it's Stjepan Sejic. I have no clue how to pronounce his name, but I found him on Justice League Odyssey, and he is just absolutely stunning. His art is so good. Also, Justice League Odyssey is a really good book that you should definitely check out. I need to add it to my pull list. I've only read the first 2 issues, but it's been really intriguing, and you should definitely read it. But even just for his art alone, nevertheless, I believe it's Joshua Williamson who's writing it. Is it? It doesn't say on this cover. I believe he's the one writing it, but he's the guy who's done Flash for a while now, and he does a great job on this book. It's sort of like misfit Justice Leaguers slash Teen Titans that come together and form a league in the Ghost sector, and it's been really good, and the art is just so beautiful. Also, Darkseid's a part of it. It's the new reborn Darkseid after Darkseid War. It's been really intriguing, and again, the art is fantastic. Definitely read this series. Next up, we have a best single issue slash one shot, and for me, that's Action Comics 1000. It did not disappoint. It lived up to the hype. It was sort of expensive. I believe it was like $8. Does it say on here? No, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. It was $8 for this book. It was an oversized comic. It even has a spine. It had a bunch of different creative teams come in to celebrate 1000 issues of Action Comics, starting back in 1938 with Action Comics 1000. Thank God they resumed it. We would have got to Action Comics 1000 even sooner if the New 52 didn't happen, but they did that and started back from 1 again, but then we got resumed with Rebirth, and I'm so glad they did, and it's such a good book. We have so many great stories from guys like Jeff Johns and Tom King, and a lot of really good stories in here that I loved. And if you did not read it, if you're a Superman fan, you have to. It's a real treat for Superman fans. Granted, after this, Superman kind of takes a nosedive with Bendis, and he also has like the weakest story in here, but this was a great celebration of the character, and DC did not disappoint. They didn't do a terrible issue that just made you regret buying it, regret spending $8. No, they did a really good job with it, and I was so happy with it, and I couldn't be more happy as a Superman fan, considering he's my favorite character in all of fiction. I thought they did a great job handling Action Comics 1000. I'm really excited for Detective Comics 1000 to see how they do with that. And then lastly, we have best new series. So this is a series that started in 2018, and for me, that's Punisher from Matthew Rosenberg. Now, he picked up Punisher towards the end of its last run, where he did a War Machine Punisher thing, which I did not like at all. But now that Punisher's back, I love this series. It is so good. It started off with Punisher killing the Mandarin, and now he's going after the Hydra because they sort of tricked him during whatever happened with when Captain America was Hydra. I didn't read very much of that because it was just so terrible, but now Punisher's like, hey, you guys tricked me into sort of being on your side, so now I'm gonna kill all you guys, and he's been doing just that so far. He's gone against like the Defenders, he's teamed up with Daredevil sort of. It's been really good. The art is a little iffy. By iffy, I mean sometimes it's really good, then other times it looks terrible, and like bodies move in weird ways, and I do not like the way Frank looks in the book. Like, Frank's not supposed to be like a super handsome guy or anything like that, but he looks like the type of dude that, like, just, you know, when you just see like a white van, not one that molests children, but just like a white van where they have like just tons of fast food trash like on their dashboard, and you can, like, it looks like they live out of that thing. That's what Frank Castle looks like in this book. He doesn't look like he does on the cover, where he looks like Dolph Lundgren, which I love, by the way. The cover artist is fantastic, and I wish he did the interiors, but sadly he doesn't. But the interiors are good for the most part. It's just Frank looks rough. And my personal favorite Punisher design is Mitch Gerads during the Marvel Now run with Nathan Edmondson. I love that design. I wish we would have stuck with that, because Punisher varies all the time. Like, the way he looks constantly changes. So Mitch Gerads is my favorite, because sometimes he's like this 6'4" monster that is this huge dude, like he was during some of Punisher Max, and then other times he's a smaller dude, and other times he looks like he does in this book, where he just looks really rough. And it just seems like they can't really nail Punisher, other than he's got black hair and has a skull. He just changes all the time. But Mitch Gerads' design is my favorite. Wish they'd stay with that. But besides his design being really iffy, this book is really good. Matthew Rosenberg has been doing a fantastic job. I love the action. Punisher's just there's not like an issue in here that has a body count like under, I'd say, 15. Like, Punisher's constantly going around being Punisher. It's not like trying to slow things down, do stupid stuff, or like preach at you. It's just doing a really good Punisher book. I highly recommend it. And if this book's sort of cheating, since Matthew Rosenberg took over at the end of the last one, I would say my favorite new series is Sentry from Jeff Lemire, if this book's cheating, which I don't think it is. But anyways, that's it for me. Please let me know in the comments below, what are your favorite comics from 2018? I want to know what you guys enjoy the most from 2018. I really want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. And also, if you want to discuss comics more, my Twitter and my Discord will be linked in the comments, not in the comments, in the description down below, so you can talk to me on Twitter about it, or we have discussions all the time on my Discord. It's really fun. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.